Hey, what's going on everybody? Mike here from AXC Garage. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got one of my favorite platform, Honda Civic Type R FK8, and this happened to be a limited edition, car number 175, also featured on one of our previous channel. And JDi sent over a Ghost Lock. I don't know what that is, but John could tell you guys a little more about it. Before that, let's go open the box and see what we got. All right, John, so we got a Ghost Lock here.
Yes, we do.
I guess my first question is, what is a Ghost Lock?
All right, the Ghost Lock, it doesn't involve any ghost. So what we have is a cell-based tracking system. This is not GPS tracking, this is cellular based. This way, you're not gonna have the same issues as you do with line of sight with the cell, or I should say, GPS satellites. So as long as you have cell signal, this is going to pick it up. On top of that, the Trackmate software that actually uses this will rotate in between providers in order to keep the signal at its strongest so that you always have coverage. So what this also does, and this is put out by JDi, they have a bunch of different products for Golden Era and all the way up to the new cars. And what this will do is it'll allow you to add GPS tracking. It also allows you to add in a fuel pump kill to it that you can control from your app and also upgrade your fuel pump harness. That being said, there's a lot more intricate parts to it. And I know Mike was asking me, what were you asking me about this?
Well, but why do it on a brand new car with immobilizer units and systems and security system? Why?
So, you know, I work at the dealership here, and Mike does too. We don't see a lot of these cars get stolen, but we don't have Type Rs. Type R is a very sought after car. And with the immobilizer technology progressing, the thieves are right on par with that. There have been rashes of thefts of FK8s, and they're walking right up to the car with some kind of remote and hopping in the car and walking away just like they have a key. I don't really understand how it works, but this is an extra layer of security that can help at least stop your car from getting stolen a little bit, but it won't be able to allow you to tell the authorities where the car is in real time so they can go get the car. You should never go and attempt to retrieve your car yourself. That's putting yourself in a situation. You're not the authorities. You don't want to do that. Contact the authorities, let them know where your car is. They're going to help you out.
As far as Trackmate.
Yes.
What is that, John?
So Trackmate is a tracking software app that they have different tiers of coverage. That starts at $9.99 and it goes all the way up from there, different options. You can also use this if you're running a fleet of cars, and it'll help track maintenance and stuff like that. That's all based on what you want to pay a month. Now, there's a $9.99, $16.99, and I think one in the middle of there, I'm not sure. You can go on the website and check it out. We'll have a link on there for it. Now, what it really changes is the amount of times that it real-time updates the location. It starts anywhere from 5 minutes, 3 minutes to real-time. $16.99 is the real-time tracking. You can also go in and refresh it manually and find out where the car is. It's just if, say, the car gets stolen and it breaks your geofence. That's another thing. A geofence is a perimeter that you can set up around where the car is parked regularly. If the car within that 5 minutes gets taken out of that zone, it's going to alert you, hey, your car has been moved. Now you have the option where you can disable the fuel pump remotely, or you can just track the car, contact the authorities, and tell them where the car is. So that's what Trackmate does. It interfaces the software with the hardware that we have here in order to make it work. So that's what Trackmate is.
Now with Ghost Lock, obviously this kit is for FKA.
Yes.
Now, what other application do they have? Honda Civic, Integra, what do they have, John?
All right, so first off, the kit is pretty universal. The harness, the fuel pump relays, all of this is universal. We have different adapters for different style fuel pumps here. And what you do is say, I want this for an FK8. This is the FK8 power harness that's specific in length for routing on this, so it fits there. So it's a very modular system, so it works pretty good. Now their coverage as far as plugs and harnesses go is pretty much everything Honda makes, starting from an EF, CRXs, all the way up to the FK8s. And a lot of this stuff crosses over. There is adapters and coverage for every model, Golden Era, even up to new TSX, Accord, EF, CRX, DA, everything really. So if you go on their webpage, they have it more specific on what exactly options you need to have it work with your car, but it really covers everything.
Now, as far as the kits go, I got a bunch of harnesses here. It looks very complicated. Is it complicated, John?
Not so complicated, and also know that this is a universal kit, so this has more stuff in it than you would normally get. Like this harness is a longer harness. This is the specific harness for the car. This was for R&D purposes. This is the one that fits the car properly. There's also an extra harness in here. These are your two relays that go right onto the kit here. This one is going to be to turn the car on. The other one's going to be for the fuel pump kill. Now these are our plugs that plug into the fuel pump itself and then plug into this harness. So really there's not a whole lot to it, including our tracking device. This is the actual cell phone SIM card, I should say, that's internal in here. It has serial numbers that you're going to need to insert into the Trackmate software when you set it up so that it will know what it is. Now this also needs to be mounted in a certain location in the car. Not a specific location, but not, what the wording is under dashboard material, not directly under metal. So you want to put it somewhere underneath the dash cluster, somewhere under there where it's not under the actual metal frame of the car, not under the B pillars, not under the roof. So probably somewhere under the dash area where it's just dashboard material. And now also what you want to do is you want to make sure that you set this up before you mount it in the car. So when we get to the point where everything's wired in and we don't have this actually mounted in the car yet, we're going to take the car outside, use our laptop to set up the new registration and set up the account for Trackmate, and then we'll install it hard after that. So that's about it. I don't know if you have any more questions for me, Mike.
You did mention that it's a mobile tracking device, right?
Yes.
And did you mention that actually kill the fuel pump? You have the option to kill the fuel pump?
There is an option to disable the fuel pump, and that's a good way to prevent the car from getting stolen. You could always, park your car and then disable your fuel pump. And then when you go back to your car in the morning, turn the fuel pump back on. You can do it that way, or you could disable the fuel pump while the car is in motion, which is not something that we recommend doing. JDi doesn't recommend that. It does put people in a situation that the car loses power while driving, and that's not really a safe situation. But you do have the ability to disable the fuel pump, and that will leave the car in a location that you can track and know where it is.
Okay, so as far as right now, where do we start?
Well, we're gonna start by running our harness through the car and installing the proper plug onto the fuel pump. So I think what I'm gonna say is we're gonna have to start by taking the car apart. Once we take the car apart and get everything set up into its basic location, then we're gonna go to the next step, which involves setting it up. So let's go ahead, and I believe we're gonna start by underneath the hood, where we're gonna run this, because this wire actually gets direct power from the underhood fuse box, and that way we run the wire straight to the back to the fuel pump, and we'll find a place to hide all these goodies. So let's start taking the car apart.
So with the hood open, what do we do next?
So we have a couple little tips that JDi told us about installation. So routing is going to be a nice grommet in the firewall back here behind and underneath the battery tray. And also the one wire, the main power wire, is going to come in here and mount up to the positive here. So we need to route our wire from here into there. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and pull out the battery and the battery tray, and that should give us good access to the grommet on the firewall. So let's start taking it apart and see how much access we actually have. All right, so we routed the wire in through the harness grommet here underneath the battery tray, and just kind of went along the side here right up to our positive battery. Everything should fit nice. Perfect, just like factory. Now we're gonna go ahead and install the battery back in and move on to the interior part. All right, so now we have our harness inside the car. We're gonna link it up to the rest of our harness here. But another thing I wanted to mention is that they use all 12 gauge wiring directly from the 12 volt source, which is right off the battery up in the front. This way, we're gonna make sure we have no drop in our amperage across the system. It's gonna allow more amperage to the fuel pump, allow it to run at a higher pressure, I should say. So what we have now is we're gonna plug this into here. So now we have 12 volts coming up to here. What I'm gonna do now is remove our fuse till we're done. That way we're not working with live wires. So now what we need to do is install our 2 relays into here. Then we're gonna mount this underneath the dash in a location. This is our harness for our cell phone unit, the tracker. And this gives us more than enough room to run it wherever we need to in here. Like I said before, we need to just make sure that there's no metal there, just dashboard material. The other end of our harness, over here, is what plugs into the fuel pump harness that we have supplied over there. And our ground. Find a good ground in the back, run this to there, we'll be good to go. So what we're gonna do is remove our plastics here and get this harness run to the back, get this mounted underneath the dash in a good location. But we're gonna leave our tracker out, and we'll install that at the end after we make sure everything is hooked up and running properly. All right, so we have our wire run right to the back over here. Now we need to remove the back seat in order to get access to the actual fuel pump area. The back seat comes out pretty easy. We have one 10mm bolt that's back here, and then 2 clips in the front. So we're gonna pull the bolt, release this, pull the seat out, and you'll see a lot more.
Well, you already find stuff under the couch. In the back seat, I found myself a quarter and a valve stamp cap.
Oh man.
I'm keeping it.
Oh yeah, that's tax. David's paying today.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we have the fuel pump exposed. We took our grommet out here. So now we have to install our sub harness. What this harness does is it connects to the fuel pump, and then this is where the original fuel pump plug plugs in, and these 2 plugs plug into our sub harness. So, simple enough. We plug this guy in there. We plug this in here. Now, we just need to run this wire through the grommet, plug it into these 2 plugs, install the covers back on, and we're all done. So let's watch it do it. All right, we got everything installed. We have our ground wire hooked up. We sanded the surface to make sure we have proper connectivity, I should say, or conductivity, so that we have a solid ground here. All of our harnesses, all the extra slack is taken up, zip tied up, nice and clean. We're gonna put the seat in, then we're gonna go outside and get this thing linked up to the cell phone signal, and then we'll mount our tracking device in a hidden location, and then we're good to go on this entire install. Not too bad.
All right, guys, so we got everything up and running. We got this tracker just temporarily sitting on the dash here. You can see this at the bottom, the LEDs flashing. We got everything working. And later on, we're gonna hide this in a different time.
Yeah, we're gonna install this off camera. Everything else is installed. We just don't want to show exactly where this is on the car. Same thing with you guys. When you put this in your car, it's probably best to put it in your own location and you don't have to publicize it. Either way, everything is working. We got everything up, and what you can see now where it says FK8LE, this is actually our current location right now. And it's pretty on point. Let's see if I can find, yeah, here we go. There's our guy. And when we click on it, it's gonna tell us where we are. Pines Boulevard, Pembroke Pines. It tells us our zip code, and that is exactly where we are at.
That's not good.
Well, I mean, it's good to know. That is where we're supposed to be. And it'll tell us a couple things here. We are not doing 41 miles an hour. We did go inside, so our signal's a little bit weaker than it would be outside. But what we can do now is we hit locate now, and this is going to refresh it. And once it refreshes, it's going to show us again where it's at. But the good thing is we already know where we're at. We're in the good location.
Look at all those options.
A lot of different options here. So we can assign a route where it's supposed to go. We can show a street view of the location of the car. We can suspend the tracking. We can open a little mini map, stops. And, you know, I was talking to Tracy from JDi. They're the ones who developed this. And he says another nice option for this is if you go to a big parking lot like the mall or something, you can find out where your car is in the parking lot. It's pretty accurate. So if, you know, I know a lot of phones do it nowadays too, but if you don't remember, you can always check it here. So our next thing that we're gonna do here, and hopefully this will work pretty good inside, is we can show you how you can disable the fuel pump. So now, disabling the fuel pump, like we mentioned earlier, it's not something that you want to do when the car is in motion. That's pretty dangerous. Disabling a car while in motion stops the brakes from having vacuum, it stops the car from being able to move. It puts you in a pretty dangerous situation. So it's not recommended that you disable the car while it's in motion. That being said, if the car has been stolen, you don't really know what's going on, but it's not recommended to do that. Also, like we said before, do not try and reacquire your vehicle on your own. Contact the police, and that'll be the best bet. All right, so right here, once we clicked the button right at the bottom here, we can see these two, disable ignition and enable ignition. Those don't actually work here. So this is what we're using, the fuel pump disable. So we're gonna click fuel pump disable. The command has been sent. So now we've already know that it has been sent, and it does take a little bit of time. The signal has to get sent from the internet here to the cell server, from the cell server back to here, and then it has to send the signal to shut the relay off, and then the car has to run out of gas from the fuel pump to the fuel rail. And let's go ahead and see how that works.
Now, let me ask you a question, John. So on some of these modern car, if you do turn off the fuel pump while the car is running, is there any repercussions, any sort of light, warning light that comes on?
Oh, here it goes. Watch it. You'll see. There it goes. So we do get a code, and that code's going to be for low fuel pressure. You hear it stalling out?
Definitely sputtering.
Oh, yeah. Now. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on, baby. Run out of gas. And...
oh, she's struggling.
Oh, yeah. Just a little bit of gas left in the system. I'll tell you right now, I'm pushing the pedal, and we got no acceleration here. And that's it. So that's how the system works. And it is going to leave us with some codes. Now, what we have to do now in order to turn it back on would be enable fuel pump. That command is sent. Now we'll give it a few minutes for it to go ahead and send the signal back down. Then we'll restart the car. And once we restart the car, we're going to use our scanner here to clear the code, which is going to be a low fuel pressure code at the fuel rail. Most direct injection systems have a fuel pressure sensor on the fuel rail. Now, all of this is on our laptop. It's a little easier to see. There's also an app. It's Trackmate, and it works on here just the same way. It brings up the map. It'll let us know where it's at and all of that good stuff. So let's see if it sent us a signal or not. I think I heard the fuel pump turn on.
Mm-hmm. Take a little bit to build the fuel pressure again.
Yeah, back to the fuel rail. So now the signal was sent. We're back and running again. And everything is up and good to go. Now we have our codes we have to clear. I'll show you guys how we use our little Autel launch scanner. So you want to shut the car off, put it on ignition on mode. We can go to erase codes. Go ahead and erase them. I think it needs to do it one more time. Code's been cleared. And that, just like that, everything is gone and good to go.
Again, killing the fuel pump option is a emergency option.
Yes.
Definitely don't recommend do while you operate the vehicle. Only if you absolutely have to do it.
Yes.
That's when you do it. And
Yeah.
again, that would be the only way that all the malfunction light will come on. By you resetting it, everything will go back to normal.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the only time you want to do that. And here we go. We got our location up here. Like I said, since we're indoors in our building, my cell phone has poor reception. As soon as I go outside, this thing is dead on accurate. And once we select the car, it tells us right here, AHC FK8LE, and it'll tell us exactly what's going on. It's still running off of my previous ignition off right now. Once it does update itself again, it even tells you when it was updated, which was about a minute and a half ago. We have the cheaper plan that updates every 5 minutes on here. So just like that, you know, we have access to everything on here again. It's pretty awesome. I mean, everything you have on the laptop, you have here, and it'll let you know exactly where the car is. I don't think we're over here in this person's house, but it's pretty close. We're across the street.
Well guys, there you have it. What an awesome kit. Ghost Lock started at only $350, and this exact kit started at only $400.
Yeah, this kit, it's awesome. We installed everything. It really adds the extra layer of security and assurance on your car. I mean, if you've owned Hondas, most cars, hooked up cars, stuff like that, they get stolen sometimes. It happens. No one wants to lose their car. You know, maybe insurance will buy you a new one. This is one of 600. It's going to be a hard car. Yeah, it's really hard to replace a car like this. 175, you never have that car again. If the thieves chop this up, this car is gone forever. So, you know, if you have some kind of extra security, whether it's the tracker, the ability to disable the fuel pump, that stuff really helps, adds that little bit of security. Maybe you can park your car outside and not have to sweat it so much, you know. So I think it's a very awesome install. And even on older model cars, anything like that, I think I definitely, on my Civic, I'd like to put this on my car too. So.
Absolutely. We have a full, complete application that fits. I think it pretty much fit on most Honda from the 80s all the way till now.
Yeah, everything really, they have different harness adapters and lengths and everything like that to make it adapt to any other car. And all it takes is your laptop and your cell phone to set it up after that. And like we were talking about, there's a bunch of different plans on trackmate.com, trackmategps.com, that will allow you to pick and choose what works best for you.
And guys, you guys are interested, we go ahead and put a link down in the description. JDi, definitely a plus to add that extra security on your car. And this wrap up for this video. My name is Mike, and I got John right over there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.